Saving money using the 50-30-20 method is not about rigid budgeting, strict rules, or forcing your life into unrealistic percentages, but about creating a simple structure that helps beginners understand where money should generally flow, how priorities can be balanced without guilt, and how savings can grow steadily without constant tracking, stress, or the feeling that life must be put on hold to be financially responsible. Number 10. Understand what the 50-30-20 method actually represents. Many beginners misunderstand the 50-30-20 method as a strict budgeting rule that must be followed perfectly every month, which often leads to frustration and abandonment. In reality, this method is a framework designed to guide decision-making rather than enforce control. The percentages represent broad priorities, not precise limits. 50% is meant to cover essential needs, 30% supports lifestyle and enjoyment, and 20% is dedicated to future stability through saving or investing. Understanding this flexibility removes pressure and allows beginners to adapt the method to real life. When the framework is treated as guidance instead of law, it becomes far more sustainable. Sustainability is what allows savings to grow over time. Number 9. Clearly define what counts as needs. One of the most common reasons the 50-30-20 method fails for beginners is confusion around what qualifies as a need. Needs are expenses required to maintain basic stability, such as housing, utilities, food, transportation, and minimum debt payments. When lifestyle expenses are incorrectly labeled as needs, the entire structure becomes distorted. This distortion leaves little room for savings and creates frustration when the numbers do not work. Clearly defining needs creates honesty in budgeting. Honesty removes guilt and reduces self-deception. Clarity in needs is the foundation of using this method effectively. Number 8. Treat the 30% category as intentional enjoyment, not impulse spending. The 30% category is often misunderstood as permission to spend freely without thought. In reality, this portion exists to allow enjoyment without harming long-term stability. When spending in this category becomes impulsive or emotionally driven, it loses its purpose. Intentional enjoyment means choosing experiences or comforts that actually improve quality of life. This approach reduces regret and unnecessary purchases. Enjoyment becomes planned rather than reactive. Planned enjoyment protects both happiness and savings. Number 7. Adjust percentages to fit your income level. Many beginners struggle with the 50-30-20 method because they believe the percentages must be followed exactly, regardless of income level or personal circumstances, which often creates unnecessary stress. In reality, essential expenses like rent, utilities, transportation, and food usually take up a larger share of income at lower earning levels. When beginners try to force the 50% limit on needs without flexibility, the method quickly feels unrealistic and discouraging. The purpose of the 50-30-20 method is not precision, but balance and awareness. Adjusting the percentages allows the system to reflect real life instead of an ideal scenario. Temporarily increasing the needs category while slightly reducing lifestyle spending keeps the structure intact without creating pressure. As income grows or expenses stabilize, the savings portion can be increased gradually. A flexible system is far more likely to be maintained over the long term. Number 6. Automate the 20% savings portion. Saving money becomes difficult when it depends on remembering to transfer funds or feeling motivated enough at the end of the month, especially during busy or stressful periods. Relying on motivation introduces inconsistency because energy and focus naturally fluctuate throughout daily life. Automating the savings portion removes emotional decision-making from the process and ensures saving happens before spending choices are made. When money moves automatically into a separate savings account, it no longer competes with daily expenses for attention or justification. This separation reduces temptation and hesitation at the moment of purchase. Automation turns saving into a background process that continues quietly without requiring repeated effort. Even during weeks when finances are not a priority, progress still occurs. Over time, this consistency builds confidence and makes saving feel natural rather than difficult. Number 5. Use the method to simplify decisions, not to track everything. Many beginners believe the 50-30-20 method requires tracking every single expense with precision in order to work properly. This belief often leads to overwhelm because constant tracking demands time, attention, and emotional energy that beginners may not have consistently. When financial systems feel demanding, they are more likely to be abandoned altogether. The real strength of the 50-30-20 method lies in its ability to simplify everyday decisions, rather than monitor every detail. By understanding which category a purchase belongs to, decisions become clearer and faster. This clarity reduces hesitation, overthinking, and emotional spending at the point of purchase. Instead of asking whether an expense is perfect, the focus shifts to whether it fits within the broader structure. This shift reduces mental fatigue and makes the method easier to use during busy or stressful periods. A system that simplifies decisions is far more likely to be followed consistently. Consistency is what allows savings to grow over time. Number 4. Revisit and adjust categories as life changes. The 50-30-20 method is often misunderstood as a static system that should remain unchanged once it is set up. In reality, income levels, living costs, responsibilities, and priorities naturally evolve over time. A structure that fits well at one stage of life may feel restrictive or unrealistic at another. Regularly revisiting the categories allows the method to stay aligned with reality instead of becoming a source of frustration. Adjustments do not represent failure, but awareness and growth. When categories are updated to reflect current circumstances, the system feels supportive rather than limiting. Supportive systems encourage continued use rather than avoidance. Avoidance is one of the most common reasons budgeting methods fail. Flexibility keeps the method relevant as life changes. Relevance is what sustains long-term financial habits. Number 3. Use the method to prevent lifestyle inflation. As income increases, spending often rises automatically without deliberate planning. Without structure, additional income tends to disappear into lifestyle upgrades that provide short-term comfort but little long-term security. The 50-30-20 method creates clear boundaries that guide how new income is used. Instead of expanding habits automatically, income growth can strengthen savings and future stability. This intentional approach prevents money from quietly slipping away as earnings increase. Preventing lifestyle inflation preserves flexibility and choice in the future. Flexibility reduces financial stress during uncertain or changing periods. Lower stress improves overall financial decision-making. Over time, intentional income use builds resilience rather than dependence on higher spending. Resilience is a key benefit of long-term saving systems. Number 2. Focus on progress rather than monthly perfection. Many beginners judge their success with the 50-30-20 method based on whether every category fits perfectly each month. This mindset creates pressure and discouragement when real life inevitably disrupts plans. Unexpected expenses, irregular income, or temporary priorities can shift the balance. Treating these moments as failure often leads to giving up entirely. Progress is better measured by long-term improvement rather than short-term accuracy. Gradual alignment over time matters more than perfect execution in any single month. Flexibility keeps the method usable even during challenging periods. Usable systems are far more valuable than strict ones. When the method remains usable, consistency remains intact. Consistency allows progress to compound quietly. Number 1. Use the method as a learning framework, not a restriction. The greatest value of the 50-30-20 method is not control, but awareness. It teaches beginners how money naturally flows through needs, lifestyle, and future priorities. This awareness reveals imbalances without creating guilt or shame. When spending patterns are understood, adjustments feel logical rather than forced. Logical changes are easier to accept and maintain. Over time, the structure becomes intuitive and flexible rather than rigid. As understanding grows, confidence replaces anxiety around money decisions. Confidence reduces emotional spending and hesitation. The method gradually shifts from a rule to a mindset. That mindset supports long-term financial stability. Bonus tip: track trends instead of individual mistakes. Many beginners focus heavily on isolated spending decisions, especially moments where they feel they overspent or made a mistake. While this focus feels responsible, it often leads to guilt without producing useful insight. Individual transactions rarely explain financial outcomes on their own. What matters far more are patterns that repeat consistently over time. Tracking trends allows you to observe how spending behaves across weeks and months rather than judging single moments. These trends reveal which categories regularly feel tight and which ones provide flexibility. This perspective shifts attention away from blame and toward understanding. Understanding reduces emotional reactions and defensiveness around money. With emotions lowered, adjustments become easier and more sustainable. Over time, small changes based on observed trends compound into meaningful savings without stress or burnout. If you want to save money using the 50-30-20 method, start by using it as a flexible guide. Rather than a strict rule, choose one category to improve this month instead of trying to perfect everything at once. Comment which part you are focusing on first. Subscribe for realistic and pressure-free money guidance. And thank you for watching. See you next time.